Saxon Algebra 1/2 greetings, my students. Let's review for the midterm. Now, I can never decide if this should be called the winter midterm because it's at the end of the winter, or if it should be called the spring midterm because it's happening technically in spring. I prefer to call this the winter midterm because it's covering the material we studied in the winter, and then what I'll give you at the end of the year, instead of calling that a final, let's call that the spring midterm. Okay, good. I'm glad we focused on the important things first. Set up your page, lesson number, description, and we'll just go through and give you a plan for studying. We start at the most recent lesson and we work backwards. 96 was on equations with swimming fish. John calls them multivariable equations. I mean, yes, but that sounds boring. I much prefer to talk about swimming fish. 96 and 95, which John calls variables on both sides. I mean, okay, that's a good name. I like that. 96 is just a slightly more complicated of 95, so it would be one or the other of those. Make sure you know both. 94 is also similar. It was about adding like terms. And as you may recall, adding like terms is what we do when we have more complicated equations, because there may be more than one kind on each side of the equal sign. So these three all kind of fit together. 93, fraction bars as symbols of inclusion, right? That's where we know that if you have a bunch of numbers and then they're overlined and then a bunch of things, you do all the top and then you do all the bottom and then last you divide. This is possible. We did cover this in a review problem, so that makes it a little less likely that I will test you again, but you know, never say never. 92 is estimating roots. That's where you take a number that isn't a perfect square and figure out which of the two perfect squares it falls between. Those are good. 91, more order of ops. I'm just going to call that an oops problem. This is the most complicated. This is the highest level that we've covered. So if I were to take a problem, it would be probably from lesson 91. There may be other lessons that we'll get to that are also order of operations, but are less complicated. 90, algebraic sentences. Yes. By the way, I'm not writing yes or no because if it's on the list, then I'm likely to test it. If it's not on the list, then I'm not likely to test it. Algebraic sentences are where we were not just practicing the phrases. Excuse me, I'm yawning. We were not just practicing the phrases, but actually writing equations. That's the one I'm likely to test you on. Okay, so things like the sum of twice a number and 42 is 128, like that. I am not going to pick the very easiest of these, but I'm not going to pick one of the super hard ones either. So I promise it will not too hard. Some of them are really difficult, and you know, just wait. But I'll try to be fair and kind to you on that. 89 for sure. Symbols of negation. There's two things you need to remember in this. If, that, right? For all the different combinations of signs that can be negated, you have to remember that there are a total of 3. So count how many have been crossed out, 1, and now you know there are 2 more options you have to consider. If we're crossing out two symbols, then there's only one left to consider. But you need to make sure that you know all of these. Here, I'll just write them all. If that, okay, those are the four of them. The other thing you need to remember is that if it's just greater than, whoops. If it's only greater than or less than, then we use an open circle. If it includes the equal sign, then we color it in. And I'm not drawing the arrows, I'm just showing you how to treat the thing. So there's a little built-in mini review right here. I also wanted to tell you in all of these, there isn't really a formula. Okay, for order of operations problems, you must write this. It's not technically a formula, but that is the list of the order of operations. So if there's an order of operations page, you must write this or you lose a point right off the bat. I know it might be in your head, but you have to write it down because I can't see in your head. I know. You don't have to write all this down, but this is what you need to be careful that you study thoroughly and that you know the difference between all of these. So often I'll have students say, well, if it's not greater than, and then it must be less than. But what about equals? Don't forget about the equals. Okay, 88. Surface area of a right solid. Ooh, yes. Okay, for that one, we usually need to know lots of formulas. Let me go to the top of the next page. Okay, you might not use all of these formulas on every problem, but you need to show me area of a rectangle equals length times width. Area of a triangle equals base times height divided by 2. Make sure you use the letters carefully. A lot of times students will be like, oh, area of a triangle, it's like length times height. No, base times height. You have to use the exact correct words. Area of a circle is pi r squared. Good. For perimeter, you don't have to show a formula. You just add up the four sides, right? Or however many there are. But remember that if you want circumference of a circle, which, right, the idea here is that when you have a circle, you don't call it perimeter. Perimeter is for straight-sided objects. If you have a circle, you call it circumference, and that is pi 2r or pi times diameter, okay? Either one of those. And then if you have a half circle, then you chop that in half and you chop that in half. Okay, so make sure you show me every single one of these formulas that you need to use. And also there's no formula for surface area. You just add them up. Okay, and then remember that the word lateral means the side part only, not the top and bottom. Okay, that's if it says lateral surface area. That's tricky. Properties of algebra, lesson 87, the part where there was commutative, transitive, symmetric. No, I'm not testing you on that. 86, algebraic phrases. That would be part of this lesson. You need to know 86 in order to be able to do 90, but I'm not going to test you individually on 86. That would just be lumped in with 90. Okay. So what are we back to? 85, graphing a line. Oh, heck yes. We are going to be building on that forever. And let's see, you just need to know how to, for this one, you need to know how to make a table. And choose easy values for x, and then calculate the y. Remember, you guys have all been doing a really good job on this, but I want to remind you again so you'll keep it straight in your heads. You can choose whatever you want for x. Just make it easy on yourself. Just choose numbers that are easy to multiply. So like, 0, 1, 2, those are really easy. Negative numbers are usually a safe bet too. If there's a fraction, choose something that will cancel against the denominator of your fraction. But I would consider those fairly hard problems, and I don't think I'll give you a problem with a denominator in it. 84 is about solving equations. So that would be included up here. I'm not even going to write it down. You don't need to even think about that. Just study those other lessons. And then this is, let's see, 83. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, this is rate problems. I know you're all groaning, but these are the rate problems as proportions, where you write them as fractions and then you use the one that you want to suit your problem. These are easier than some of those other rate problems we've been doing that make you all cry. Let's do one more. 83. 82 is a good one. Evaluation with signed numbers. That is where John gives you a big long string of things and you have to simplify. 82. I'm just looking to see what we did in the review problems. We did 89 in a review problem. And we did 85 in a review problem. Let's just add one more. 81 is multiplying and dividing signed numbers. That's easy. 80 increases in percent. Okay, these are frickin' formula problems. F times of equals is, or more likely, P over 100 times of equals is. Remember, my darling students, that these would be the kinds of problems where we would have a little baby Jesus, right? Where it's going to get bigger. Remember that this is 100%, and this is 100% plus some amount that we call the increase. And the original amount is always the same, right? Remember, when you're trying to go from your picture into your formula, this number is always the of number, and this is always the is number. Please remember that. And that's all. That's enough for you to study. Here's what I want you to do to study. I think I told most of you this in our chats, but I want to say it again. Whenever you're taking a test for any subject, not just math, you need to find out what kind of problems you'll be expected to do in the test. Like, what's the format of the test? Am I doing problems like a math test? Am I doing multiple choice? Am I writing an essay? Am I filling in the blank? You need to find out the format of the test and you need to study, prepare for the test by doing exactly what you'll be doing in the test. So for math, you will be doing problems on the test. So in order to study, you must do problems, okay? I've had students study. Usually, I'm talking in this example I'm going to give you. It's really smart boys who don't think they need to study, and they will just like look through the book at problems and be like, "Oh yeah, I know how to do that. Oh yeah, I know how to do that." I mean, that's great, and I admire your confidence. But in order to prepare for a test, you must do the problem. So what I want you to do is work the examples for all the lessons on our list. What? That's a lot of problems. Yeah, but it's not that bad. It's less than doing regular homework, right? There's usually only 2 problems. Work them. The reason I like you to do the examples is because there's an explanation and the answer's right there. Cover it up as you're working them so you don't just like totally see the answer the minute you look at the problem. Use a piece of paper and do like this. So, oh, my book's collapsing. Like if I'm gonna do this example, cover up the answer, work the problems, and then there's your answer right there. And if you don't get it, there's a great explanation for you right there. Make sure you work all the problems for all the examples in all these lessons. Okay, it's not that bad because there aren't that many. Work all examples for all lessons on our list, all right? Then, if you're still getting the problems wrong, message me. I want to help you before the test, not after the test, okay? So please do not hesitate to reach out. If you feel pretty good, but you just want to practice some more, you can also work the practice problems if you just want to be on top of your game. Okay, so I leave that up to you to decide. But some students like to just keep practicing and keep their brains nice and warm. And I think that's a really good idea. Make sure that you study within 24 hours of taking the test. Okay, if you do all your studying on Monday and then don't work the test until Wednesday night, your brain is going to feel a little out of whack. So make sure that you study within 24 hours of taking the test, which will be between, let's say, noon on Wednesday and then you need to be done, let's say, noon on Thursday. Okay, that's when you'll be taking the test. You get to decide within there. But schedule your study time so that you will have studied within 24 hours of whenever you sit down to take the test, all right? So that your brain does not get rusty. All right, ask questions of me, message me during the test, message me before the test. I would much rather help a student before they realize they're in over their head than have them not take it seriously and then look at the test and go, oh crap. Students who have any past due review problems. Among you guys, that's Joel. There's just one you have to do, Joel. I will attach an extra piece of paper to your test, and that will have your review problem on it. For every other part of the test, it's going to be just like at Christmas time. No surprises there. I will be available to you by phone, by email. You can call me, you can text me. whatever you want. Email is my last choice because I do not get email notifications on my phone, so I'm less likely to instantly receive your message. So text, messenger, those are better options. All right. So this is your homework assignment. I think that's all. Good luck. I'm excited. You guys are going to be in great shape. Just stay on your game. And also, if you're the kind of student that gets emotional sometimes around tests, some people just get more freaked out than others. Other people go into like a really calm zone, and other people just get emotional and freak out. If you're the emotional, freaky out kind, take care of yourself. I mean, take care of yourself anyway, but calm yourself, prepare yourself, find a soothing place to take the test. For everybody, make sure that you've eaten, you've had lots of water, you've got good rest, fresh air. Go for a walk before you sit down. That's a great idea to just help get your head in the zone. So if you tend to have a little bit of a runaway emotional thing, plan for that. Plan when you're going to take the test and plan to soothe yourself before you begin. If you're at all worried about anxiety, Google that. How to deal with anxiety before a test, okay? And get some good ideas. Make a plan to control test anxiety if you get it, okay? That's another reason why I give you 24 hours to take the test, is I want you to really feel that you're in control of your environment and you're preparing to do your best. All right, that's all I'm going to say. Good luck, my darling students. You don't need luck. You have skill and experience. You're going to do great. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if there's anything I can do for you. Otherwise, I will see you on your doorstep. Goodbye.